Today we discuss about localization concept in Laravel. So first we see the main topics like introduction, defining translation strings, retrieving translation strings, overriding package language files. Apart from this, we are having subtopics like publishing the language files, configuring the locale, pluralization language, using short keys, using translation strings as keys, replacing parameters in translation strings, pluralization. So these are the main topics and subtopics that are available in locale concept of Laravel. Let's see introduction. By default, the Laravel application skeleton does not include the lang directory. So if you would like to customize Laravel's language files, we may publish them via the lang:publish artisan command. So the command will be like this: php artisan lang:publish. Laravel's localization features provide a convenient way to retrieve strings in various languages, allowing us to easily support multiple languages within our application. Laravel provides two ways to manage translation strings. First, language strings may be stored in files within the application's lang directory. So within this directory, there may be subdirectories for each language supported by the application. So this is the approach Laravel uses to manage translation strings for built-in Laravel features such as validation error messages. So folder structure will be lang/en/messages.php. Also, if it is es messages.php, like this, the file system will be there. Or the translation strings may be defined within the JSON files that are placed within the lang directory. So when taking this approach, each language supported by our application would have a corresponding JSON file within our directory. So this approach is recommended for applications that have a large number of translatable strings. For example, /lang/en.json file, es.json file. So publishing the language files. So we are having artisan command like this: php artisan lang:publish. Configuring the locale. The default language for your application is stored in the config/app.php default language. In the config/app.php. So configuration files locale configuration option, which is typically set using app_locale environment variable. We may also configure a fallback language which will be used when the default language does not contain a given translation string. So the fallback language is also configured in the config/app.php configuration file. So and its value is typically set using app_fallback_locale environment variable. So we modify the default language for a single HTTP request at runtime using the setLocale method provided by the app package. Determining the current locale. We may use the current locale and isLocale methods on the app package to determine the current locale or check if the locale is given value. app::current locale, app::isLocale. So like this, isLocale of en. So like this we will be using the syntax. And setLocale method we have already discussed, which can modify the default language for a single HTTP request at runtime. app::setLocale, parameter we pass $locale. Pluralization language. We may instruct Laravel's pluralizer, which is used by Eloquent and other portions of the framework to convert singular strings to plural strings to use a language other than English. So this may be accomplished by invoking the use language method within the boot method of one of our application service providers. So the pluralizers currently supported languages are French, Norwegian, Bokmal, Portuguese, Spanish and Turkish. So we will be using pluralizer like this. Pluralizer use language of Spanish. So like this we will be using the pluralizer. Defining translation strings using shortkeys. So translation strings are stored in files within the language directory. Within this directory, there should be a subdirectory for each language supported by our application. So this is the approach Laravel uses to manage translation strings for built-in Laravel features such as validation error messages. So lang/en messages.php /es messages.php. So all language files return an array of keyed strings using translation strings as keys. For applications with a large number of translatable strings, defining every string with a short key can become confusing when referencing the keys in our views, and it is cumbersome to continually invent keys for event translation string supported by our application. So for this reason, Laravel also provides support for defining translation strings using the default translation of the string as the key. String as the key. String as the key. So the default translation of the string as the key. The key itself as a string. Key itself as a string. So string as the key we use. Language files that use translation strings as keys are stored in a JSON files in the language directory, lang directory. For example, LANG. If our application has a Spanish translation, so should create a lang/es.json file. So for example, I love programming. So me and Canta programmer. So like this we'll be using the JSON files within the lang directory. Key or file conflicts. So you should not define translation string keys that conflict with other translation file names. For example, translating __ action for the NL locally while a NL/action.php file exists but a NL.json file does not exist will result in the translator returning the entire contents of NL/action.php. Retrieving translation strings. So we may retrieve translation strings from our language files using the __ helper function. So if we are using shortkeys to define our translation strings, we should pass the file that contains the key and the key itself to the __ function using dot syntax. So let's retrieve the welcome translation string from the lang/en/messages.language file. So it will be like this: echo __ within the brackets messages.welcome. Here messages is the file name messages.php within the directory language/en, and dot welcome. This welcome is the translation string. So in this way we can retrieve translation string from the language en messages.php language file. If the specified translation does not exist, __ function will return the translation string key. So using the example above, the __ function would return messages.welcome if the translation string does not exist. So for example, echo __ I love programming. So again, if the translation string does not exist, the underscore function will return the translation string key that it was given. Replacing parameters in translation strings. So we may define placeholders in our translation strings. All placeholders are prefixed with a double colon. So we may define a welcome message with a placeholder name. To replace the placeholders when retrieving a translation string, so we may pass an array of replacements as a second argument to the underscore function. So echo underscore messages dot welcome comma name value pairs, name Ravindar Reddy Yampalla, like this. So to replace placeholders when retrieving a translation string. So we may pass the array of replacements as a second argument to the underscore function. If our placeholder contains all capital letters only or only has its first letter capitalized, the translated value will be capitalized accordingly. So welcome, the colon name, goodbye, colon name, like this. So object replacement formatting. If we attempt to provide an object as a translation placeholder, the object's underscore toString method will be invoked. The underscore toString method is one of the PHP's built-in magic methods. So sometimes we may not have control over the underscore toString method of a given class, such as when the class that we are interacting with belongs to a third-party library. So Laravel allows us to register a custom formatting handler for that particular type of object. To accomplish this, we should invoke the translator's stringable method. The stringable method accepts a closure which should type hint the type of object that is responsible for formatting. So typically stringable method should be invoked within the boot method of our application's app service provider. So in this way, we can use a custom formatting handler for the particular type of objects in Laravel. Stringable. Lang stringable of function of money, $money, return $money format to en_GB. Pluralization. Pluralization is a complex problem as different languages have a variety of complex rules for pluralization. However, Laravel can help us translate strings differently based on pluralization rules that we define. Using a pipe symbol character, we may distinguish singular and plural forms of a string. For example, apples. There is one apple. Pipe symbol, there are many apples. So of course, pluralization is also supported when using translation strings as keys. So there is one apple, colon, there are many apples. Pipe symbol, there are many apples, colon, hay una magna, hay muchas magnas. So like this, I will be having translation strings as keys. So we may even create more complex pluralization rules which specify translation strings for multiple ranges of values. So apples, braces 0, there are none. Brackets 1, 19, there are some. 20, star, there are many. So like this, we'll be using pluralization techniques. Echo trans_choice messages dot apples, 10. So after defining a translation string that has pluralization options, so we may use the trans_choice function to retrieve the line for a given count. So in this example, since the count is greater than 1, the plural form of the translation string is returned. Echo trans_choice messages dot apples, 10. So we may also define placeholder attributes in pluralization strings. These placeholders may be replaced by passing an array as a third argument to the trans_choice function. Like echo trans_choice time.minutes_ego, 5, value 5. So if we would like to display the integer value that was passed to the trans underscore choice function, we may use the built-in colon count placeholder. Overriding package language files. Some packages may ship with their own language files, so instead of changing the package's core files to tweak these lines, we may override them by placing files in the language / vendor / package by locally directory. So for example, if we need to override the language translation strings in messages.php, so for a package named Skyrim / healthfire, you should place a language file at lang vendor healthfire /en /messages.php. So like this, we can override package language files. So thank you so much. This is all about languages localization concept in Laravel. We will be having language directory. In that we will be mentioning the messages.php. As per the translation strings will be there. We can retrieve them underscore by using underscore function. Whatever the configuration values are there. So whatever we have discussed, and we have PHP artisan lang :publish artisan command in order to publish the language files. So thank you so much. This is all about localization in Laravel. This is Universal Horse Star Ravindar Reddy Yampalla. Thanks to all of my fans, supporters and followers, and a special thanks to all of my YouTube subscribers. Thank you so much.